Hello, my true crime junkies. Welcome back to today's new episode. If you are new to my show, welcome. Make sure that you subscribe on my YouTube page or Instagram. My name is Ida, your host today. You can also follow us on TikTok. Thank you in advance to everyone that has supported my podcast by subscribing or just sharing. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any suggestions, comments, or any cases you would like me to share, you're welcome to private message me through YouTube or Instagram, and I will be more than happy to respond. With today's episode, I'm taking a bit of a turn actually. Normally, I focus on victims of horrible cases, but today I'm diving into a case of a serial killer. Now let's get started. This serial killer did get a ton of media attention. He committed these crimes in California. We will be talking about Carole Sund, born Carrie Anthony Sund, in August 13 of 1961 in Merced, California. His parents were Kay and Delbert Sund. Carrie had two brothers named Stephen and Corey. They were raised in a small town named Merced, California, also known as the famous Yosemite National Park, well known for its natural wonders. Located in California, Sierra Nevada mountains, it attracts millions of travelers from around the world each year, which has towering sequoia trees, cascading waterfalls, and beautiful granite cliffs. But on February through July of 1999, this national park was nothing but peaceful. Instead, it became the dumping ground for the mutilated victims of this serial killer named Carole Sund. Let's begin with a little bit of information on Carrie's early years. So when he was 11 years old, his 7-year-old brother Stephen was kidnapped by a child molester named Kenneth Parnell in 1972. He was kept captive for more than 7 years before escaping and being reunited with his family. Carrie later stated that he felt very neglected and mistreated while their parents were grieving his brother's loss. So Carrie struggled to fit, and he really craved his parents' attention. But the parents were very focused and driven on finding his brother Stephen. Now, when Stephen escaped and returned home in 1980, he started to receive massive media attention. He even earned a true crime book, a TV movie, both titled "I Know My First Name is Stephen," where he showed and explained his ordeal. Carrie was not overjoyed with Stephen's return. He was very jealous of all the attention his younger brother received, both from all the media and from their parents. Now, sadly, about 8 years later, after Stephen's return, Stephen dies in a motorcycle accident in 1989. And the following year of this, Carrie's uncle named Jesse, with whom he lived while at the time that his brother was missing, he ended up being murdered as well. Carrie later claimed that Jesse, his uncle, molested him around the time that Stephen was kidnapped while he was living with him. And after this, Carole Sund took a job as a handyman at Cedar Lodge, a motel just outside the entrance of the Yosemite National Park. It was there that he committed his first horrific crime. Carrie had a total of 4 victims. On February 15 of 1999, the 42-year-old Carole Sund, her 15-year-old daughter Juli, and Juli's 16-year-old friend Silvina Pelosso, she was an Argentine exchange student, and another person that worked in the Yosemite Institute, her name was Joie Ruth Armstrong, a 26-year-old naturalist. All 4 of them went missing while staying at the Cedar Lodge. Carole Sund later admitted that he told the woman that there was a leak in their room to gain access. Then he strangled Carole and Sylvine. placed their bodies in the trunk of their car, and forced Juli to ride with him for hours as he searched for a place to dump the corpses. He then slit Juli's throat and left the body near a creek before returning to the burned car to burn the vehicle. On March 19, 1999, the police found the bodies of Carole and Silvina in the trunk of the burned vehicle, and their bodies could only be identified by their dental records. Investigators then received an anonymous letter from Steiner detailing where they could find Juli's body. It stated, "We had fun with this one," according to the ABC News. March 25th, all the detectives uncovered Juli Sund's remains. Her throat had been slashed so fiercely that she was nearly decapitated. Police questioned Steiner at that time, but he was so clean-cut and had no real criminal history, so they didn't believe he had anything to do with it. Months later, however, another body turned up. It was July 22nd of 1999. The decapitated corpse of Yosemite naturalist Joie Armstrong was discovered not far from the cabin where she's been staying. The previous day, Carole Sund had noticed her while walking through the area, and he decided to just kill her. He held her in her cabin at gunpoint, bound her hands and mouth with duct tape, and forced her into his vehicle. Armstrong was able to jump through the window of the moving truck, but Steiner chased her down and beheaded her. Unlike his first murders, Steiner left behind plenty of evidence when he killed Armstrong. Authorities found tire tracks from his truck as well as red mechanic's hat that belonged to him. They soon tracked him to a nudist camp in Wilton, California. During this questioning, Steiner stunned investigators by offering to confess in exchange for child pornography. And Steiner allegedly said, quote, "It's sick, disgusting, perverted. I know that. I can't go to prison for the rest of my life and be happy without seeing it." End quote. Police, of course, refused, and Steiner made a full confession anyways. Steiner told investigators that he had not initially intended to murder Armstrong, but when he saw her alone outside her cabin, he could no longer resist the temptation to kill again. End quote. He later admitted that he would have kept killing until he was caught. Steiner claimed he never sexually assaulted any of the women and wanted to keep their death as humane as possible. That he murdered his victims for simply being at the wrong place at the wrong time. He'd given into his continuous fantasy of killing women that had reportedly been circling in his thoughts for over 30 years. End quote. So he had this fantasy of murdering all his life, pretty much. And after he confessed to the killings and gruesome details, he was arrested and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. At the trial, Steiner's lawyers argued he suffered from mental illness and trauma of his brother Stephen's kidnapping. They also said he's been sexually assaulted by his uncle as a child, which had contributed to his violent fantasies. But regardless to Steiner's past, the court was not lenient with him. He was convicted of all 4 murders and sentenced to death in August of 2002. Today, Carole Sund remains on death row at San Quentin State Prison just outside of San Francisco. Due to a count ruling on capital punishment, there has been no execution in the state of California since 2006. However, Steiner is not eligible for parole. He will never again have the chance to kill another woman. And that is a very sad case for those 4 females. I came upon these details of this serial killer, but it was just interesting on how you see videos of him and how he was looking at his brother as his brother was coming back from this kidnapping, and you could see in his face expression that he just wasn't happy, and he pretty much just used this as an excuse to do what he did. But he did admit that he had this in his mind for over 30 years. So right now he is still in prison, of course, serving a life sentence on death row, and we do hope that he stays there. And I do feel our condolences to the families of these 4 young ladies that were murdered back in the 1999. And I'm glad that he was caught and justice was served for those young ladies. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. That is it, folks, for today. Please don't forget to subscribe and support my podcast. Make sure that you stay tuned. I will post another episode next week. And I do, again, if you have any questions or any comments or anything you would like to share with me, please do so. You can do it on the private comments or just direct message me on Instagram, and I will definitely get back to you. So, again, that is it for today, folks, and have a great weekend. Bye.